The stories, the news, in-depth analysis of national current affairs. Freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1.
Excuse me. Uh, Mics are up. Studio is live.
Invest your money where it makes more money for you. Download the iInvest app at www.iinvestng.com. Powered by Sterling Bank.
And a very good morning to you. Thank you so very much for tuning in to Smooth 98.1. As a part of Smooth Breakfast you're listening to right now, it's called Freshly Pressed 981. It encapsulates detailed analysis of our newspaper stories this morning. And in the studio with us to do justice to these analysis, we have Miss Ireti Bakare Yusuf. Good morning, Miss Ireti.
We just about made it. Morning.
I know you beat all the odds, all the odds. And then Ugo Dre, who see once in the odds, and then Ugo Dre, who see once in a week. Good morning, Ugo Dre.
And he's got his shirt up, top first two buttons undone this morning.
Yeah. He has to put the swag to it. Yeah.
We already
I knew
collected
you were coming today, so
bride
I
price.
wanted to impress
We have
you.
collected bride price. No other one allowed. You understand?
Thank you so very much. Find them up on social media. You can find Miss Ireti at CCOG Lagos. Interact with her. And Ugo Dre is just simply at Ugo Dre on all social media platforms. We go very quickly into the story, starting with Punch newspaper for this headline: Federal government slashes JAMB NECO fees. Now, after JAMB recorded a lump sum and rating over 8 billion naira into the federal government coffers, we're hearing this news that the federal government on Wednesday announced a reduction in the cost of application form for both JAMB and of course the senior school certificate examination. For JAMB, they reduced from 5,000 to 3,500 naira, and for SSCE reduced from 11,350 naira to 9,850 naira. Ugo Dre, what are your thoughts?
You can look at this story from maybe three vantage points. One is this some kind of socialism, right? Yeah. So you've got some people thinking that, look, why is the government unilaterally reducing the cost of getting the JAMB form? I mean, what's the underlying fundamentals for this? I mean, is it just because they've been able to save 8 billion? I mean, is this something that's sustainable?
I was going to say, is
if
the
you consider the
sustainability.
fact that inflation rate is still, at double digits, and there's probably going to be some, price increases sometime next year. So, is this something that they're going to sustain, or would they next year again, or you've dropped it now and then take it back up again next year, or even double it? So that's from one angle. And then of course those some others are saying, look, why reduce it now? Like and there are other things that JAMB can actually be doing, maybe ensure that the quality of the examination is even a lot better than it is today, rather than just slashing fees unilaterally. But on the flip side, I mean, like, this is to those who think that the government is has been wasteful. I mean, this is just a classic example. They're like, look, if JAM has been operating losses for years and they've basically been covering up these losses by increasing fees, and they've been able to save 8 billion. I mean, this just shows that, look, there's a lot of waste in government, in governance.
Absolutely.
And then is this the only area where they can actually reduce fees? What about fees you pay in ports, or fees you pay
Exactly. Everywhere
because
else,
other
yes.
aspects
All
of
the other
life where
quality
government is in
gates
charge,
that-
right? So I mean, like, could there be lower fees? I mean, is this something that maybe government probably needs to look into other areas as well, not just JAMB? So so you can look at it from this angle, but then it's a strong precedent. That's the thing, Rich.
Do you know
Like,
what I find really curious when they do these things is that have they put proper processes in place to ensure that this kind of cost is sustainable, the
Exactly.
price decrease? Because a lot of things I think they're just doing perfunctorily. It's the new director of JAM, who's basically trying to win favor with government, is actually slashing prices of small businesses who are supplying to JAM, and he's basically making a lot of them bankrupt, to be honest with you.
That's
so I
another
have
angle,
to
exactly.
ask, yeah, and that's why I don't get excited, because what happens when he goes and then we get somebody in who actually thinks, you know what, I need to put procedures and processes in place to
yes.
favor the student, and then he starts with it, because if you don't care, it's about that quality gate again. It's about whether you've put together a strong enough quality gate that's going to say, okay, you know what, for the next 5 years we can afford to charge
do
this
this,
much.
yeah.
But again, allow me to ask. Allow me to be cynical for a second. We've seen the recorded mass failure from 2016 to just about later part of 2017, and then that regulated a little bit. But still, other people are still being skeptical about how it is. Does this make a difference really in reducing costs?
It does, right, Valentine. There are a lot of people out there who actually still can afford to buy JAMB forms for themselves. I mean, like, so if you're trying to increase the number of people who are, have access to university education in Nigeria, then you got to look into things like this. But then there's that political angle as well. So I'm saying that, look, this is just one of those, it's election season and all that. So and a government that is somewhat perceived as socialist would like to have things like this. So I mean, this is basically a benchmark now for other parastatals or other agents of government, MDs, and say, look, see, this guy's done something for us, and this is good. So why don't you guys do something else?
And there's a
but like Ireti
angle.
says, it just has to be sustainable.
Should we all have to go to university before we earn a living? That's another question.
Well,
really. Do we have to? Does everybody have to?
Well,
not necessarily. Anyway, so we'll move on to this next story from Premium Times newspaper. Regulates petrol supply to border communities. That's coming from the Petroleum Products Marketing Company, and they're enjoining all major marketers Association of Nigeria to regulate the volumes of petroleum products dispatched to their member stations close to Nigeria's borders. They said the reason why they're asking or making this move is designed to stem cross-border leakages and forestall attendant product price based on the fact that if you increase the prices of petroleum products, it would encourage smuggling across the borders.
Of DPK, I don't care. I just want to know: am I going to get the petrol station as I did this morning, buy my petrol, be gone? Is my friends who are going to be traveling out of state, are they going to be able to buy petrol and go and see their families? Of course, we always have to look at how it affects outside of Lagos, because if it affects us in Lagos in 10%, the rest of the country experience, especially in the east, they're experiencing it in like gazillion percent.
Yes.
And this, he mentions this here. He says said, Enugu and Aba will commence selling by December 1st with a view to forestalling the frequent shortages being experienced during Christmas and New Year in the eastern part of the country. I hope so, but Cheta will let us know if they do or not. And even the price regulation that needs to be done over there, because I don't know, remember, they used to sell, the prices was very different in the east.
Yes,
I don't know if that's still the case.
We had a case where there were some stations around that part of Nigeria were selling for about 200 and 250 naira.
Exactly,
and it was widespread across the region. It seemed like there was no check, but we hope that doesn't happen this time.
And those people on the forecourts, they're the real disciples of Yeah.
All right, so I'll take you to this next story from Daily Times. Ugo Dre. Now, this story says representatives demand 26% hike in education funding by 2022. We'll recall very quickly when former President Muhammadu Buhari, or rather following President Muhammadu Buhari. I was thinking about
Freudian slip, is it?
I'm sorry. I was thinking about when Obasanjo made a similar statement, and that's why I said former. So. President Muhammadu Buhari made the presentation of the 8.6 trillion naira budget of consolidation in November, and try to tie that into the United Nations Education and Scientific and Cultural Organizations a proposal for budgets for education to increase to 26%. Now it seems like the House of Representatives are towing this line and resolving that subject on the availability of funds should be pushed towards achieving this. And who brought this forward? It was Representative Ayodele Oladimeji, representing Ekiti State PDP, and he made the suggestion on the House. Do you see this as feasible? Based on the fact that the country is still, struggling with paying back debts, borrowing some more money, and there seems to be a widespread lack of funds. How is this achievable? Is it just sound bites?
So I like to look at these things. So there's percentages, then there's absolutes, right? So 10% of 20 trillion is 2 trillion, isn't it? All right. So and currently we're doing, is it 600 billion or thereabout, right? So it's all percentages and absolute. So but here's what it is. If we need to wait till 2022 to get to 26% of budget for education, then I dare say that a lot of the youths that we have today in this country, and they make up a huge percentage of our population, would exodus. They would leave right? So if you don't invest in education in Nigeria, we actually do not have a future, and that's what the problem is. And what you've seen is the level of investment in Nigeria's education sector has fallen over the years. The quality of investment. So you look at, is it our universities, is it our secondary schools, is it our primary schools, and you can't. No nation can survive without education. That's just the problem. We can't, and that's why we're in this spiral. So if you can't even invest in research. You can't invest in quality tertiary education. You go to our universities, they don't have facilities. Even the private universities that are somewhat better still need funding. So I think there's a huge problem in education sector.
And which resonates with the call from ASU, which is why they are still on strike.
Yeah, so you still have ASU on strike and you have all that. So we've got to do something about it. And 26%, quite frankly, waiting till 2022 just can't work. I mean, like, that's like 4 years from now. No way, it's not going to happen. It's
That's
just
like
too
3
far.
years into the
Yeah, so
the
I
next
think we have to be a
administration.
lot more, serious about this.
Which is,
And it could be a combination of raising funds maybe internally, or also trying to cut a lot of the waste that we've seen in government. I mean, the JAMB one was just a practical example. So there's a lot of waste in government today. I mean, I was hearing somewhere that you have a lot of people who are appointed as special assistants who don't even know why they're appointed as
And
special
they don't
assistants,
do
and they're just
anything.
earning money, not doing anything. So we have a
Yes.
lot of things like that. So there's a lot of areas where they can cut. I mean, probably not a lot, but at least substantial enough to make an impact here.
Yes.
So whether we can get to 26% next year or in 2 years from time, I mean, I can't be sure, but I think the government shouldn't they shouldn't be telling us that we have to wait till 2022.
Do you know what I would like to say? The revenue that's been raised from so-called good JAM director, whatever, and the cost savings, where are they pushing it into? That's the
That's a
question.
good question.
Where, they should,
I mean,
they should
it
be
drops
going
into that
there.
TSA pool.
Yes.
That's the thing. And when it
That's
drops
the thing,
into that
everything goes
TSA
into
pool,
that
nobody
pool.
gets to
And
access
people
it.
have
Yes.
been asking questions as to where the money is going to,
Yes.
rather what the money is being used for,
Yeah.
and then we hear about. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
to
Too
the
early
next
to get
story.
upset this morning. Too early.
I know. Let's look at this newspaper for this next story. 2019, EFCC insists on monitoring donations to political parties. Donors' identities. My eyes popped when I saw this story. I thought to myself, okay, is this going to now hold all the parties and the supporting groups to account, and then the candidates who are vying for the elections? But the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Wednesday insisted that they would not allow the country's commonwealth go to waste by corrupt politicians for 2019 general elections. They made a statement. The chairman of the Anti-Graft Commission, Ibrahim Magu, being represented by one of the officers, Olanikbekun Olukoyede, who's the chief of staff. He said that, we shall keenly monitor the financial affairs, and I'm quoting, financial affairs of political parties to ensure that the use of public funds to finance political parties and prosecute campaigns at all levels of government is checked. We see all the posters on the streets. On your way to the office, you probably saw a lot of boards being erected.
Well, I'm sure I know what Jide looks like much more than his wife does right now. I've been looking at his face for so long.
I mean, that's being subjective,
Okay.
but looking
Well,
at
no, but it's all the same thing. But okay, no, you do. I mean, anyway.
What's fun in that? That's the thing.
That's it, right? So here's what I think. I mean, and this is my thing. You see, when everybody was clamoring for all these, what is it called again? Too young to run bill.
not too young to run.
That's the one. This is what they should have been pushing for. Forget the age thing. The age thing was so irrelevant.
It was.
I was so irritated by that stupid, dumb campaign. It was really dumb.
Why?
Because it actually is inconsequential.
Campaign finance is one of the
It's
most
totally
important things in
inconsequential.
democracy.
If you don't have the money, you can be whatever age you want to be. I don't care. So this is what we should have been pushing for, because campaign finance, like Ugo just said, is critical to going forward. The way we raise money, the way money is raised for elections in this country is critical to going forward. Look at young people, a lot of young people that have come out now. Don't get me wrong, I really couldn't be bothered with a lot of them. But there's a couple that I'm looking at, and it's very true. And I don't expect they'll get very far, but I'm so proud that they've actually thrown their hat in the ring, which is Ferdi and Banky W, Ferdi Ademife and Banky W, both of whom are going for House of Rep. Now, I can assure you, they don't have, and they're going for House of Rep in Etiosa, which is probably why I take more notice. That's my constituency, right?
But do they stand a
They
chance?
Allow me to finish.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. They don't stand a chance, or they can't compete financially, at least financially, with the likes of what's the name of that Obanikoro's son that's going up against them. Why? Because his father's got a war chest that he's going to use. And allow me to finish. And
Yeah,
this
I'm
is the
that's
thing.
everything. Go on.
Whether they have a chance or not, unless they have the same chest of money to be able to use to campaign properly. They just simply, they've lost from the start, which is why we have to celebrate those who come out and say, look, we may not have money, but we've got the passion. And I think if EFCC are totally serious about this, they didn't need to start doing this now. They should have been doing this a long time ago. If we as a nation truly wanted change in the way that our elections and campaigning are done, this is what we should have been pushing for, instead of that thing called too young, not too young to run, because it's more like too dumb to run.
I had a friend,
yes.
Valentine, some dude who's been contesting elections since I think 2015 or so, trying to get into the House of Rep. So, and every time he wants to do it, he gathers, rallies around friends and guys, and then people just contribute money for him, and then he just stops. He doesn't go get it. He doesn't even get past primaries.
So
and then he now goes back to his hustle again, and then after 4 years he comes back, and all of a sudden he finally now gets a ticket, right, in one of the two political parties, and now they are now rushing to him and telling him that, okay, you know what, we're going to pay you this amount of money, just drop that ticket.
Imagine.
And they're like, nope, he's not going to drop it because he thinks he's got a chance. So that's really how it happens.
Exactly.
And without campaign, and this guy started running in his 30s, so now he's gotten to his.
How old is he now?
He's in his 40s already.
But
He's running since his 30s. No
And that's
chance.
why we always end up with old politicians, because it takes
and then he
that
can get
long.
bought over easily, and that's part of what we're
Easily.
saying, because
And-
they've told him that, look, you don't have the war chest to actually go into the main election
Yes.
itself, right? So let the people who have the war chest go, and if you don't drop, then we will just not back you up.
At
So
the end
if
of- at the
you
end of the
lose
day,
at the end of the
it
day
falls, it falls in the hands of the policy, really, with your PVCs. we
Forget
need
PVC.
No,
PVC,
we're not going to
Coco.
forget PVC. because
PVC isn't going
that
to
is
change
where
the
you
way.
make the final decision as to who
No.
gets
That is the naive
Yes,
way.
in
You
a
are
way,
being
yes,
naive.
but more
I
importantly,
disagree.
campaign finance, like even
Campaign
anywhere in
financing
democracy,
is where this whole
campaign
thing
finance is, because they know
happens.
that the more
Look
money
at
you
Trump.
have, the more inroads you can
Look
make.
at Trump.
We need to move on, though. Thank you so very much. Campaign hustle, campaign fever. Going to Vanguard newspaper for this one. Alleged 177 billion naira NPA scam tears senators apart. To go, I would let you go into this, because senators yesterday, they were divided in the House over the alleged non-remittance of 177 billion naira operational surplus that was made by Nigerian Ports Authority into the Consolidated Federation account. Now we're back into the accounts business. Let's go into this, please.
A bit of a hyperbolic headline, though.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So it's basically a rogue. Should I call him a rogue senator or an outlier? More like. So I'm a committee member who's basically just gone rogue against his fellow committee members.
Okay.
So it wasn't something that they discussed when they were having the committee hearing or meetings. Excuse me. And then he comes to the floor of the Senate and just drops that bombshell that, look, there's a 177 billion here and there that hasn't been.
And everybody's
remitted by
eyebrows
NPA.
just
And
go.
then the chairman becomes like, look, where's this coming from? Like, we never even discussed this. Like, it
Yes.
never came up. And why are you bringing this up now? And that. So that's really what this is about. And the Senate president says, okay, look, you know what? Why don't you guys come together? Let's give you guys. I think they give them about 2 weeks to go and do an investigation. But my worry here, Valentine, is that we're going to be seeing a lot of all these things. It's a political season, so everybody's looking for some kind of attention, one way or the other, whether genuine or not. That's what's happening.
Whether corroborated or
Yeah,
not.
exactly. So, what I don't understand really is, why bring this up in the floor of the Senate? Except maybe, he was, basically stopped from raising it during the committee meetings, and then he decided to just.
He probably saw something
Yeah,
that
saw
the
something
other
that-
members are not seeing.
maybe some other members were probably suppressing, and you never know with these committee members. Really, you never really know. What happens when they go visit some of these agencies. And so, 177 billion is a huge amount of money.
Yes.
And you very well know that whatever revenue that is generated actually should go to the treasury, to the TSA, and not leave it with the MDA. So I mean, if you have as huge as 177 billion, that's a lot of money. And we're just talking about 7% going to the education sector. I mean, if you add
You have to get on the money trail.
yeah, if you add that, that will be some significant impact. So, is this something we should worry about? Is there smoking gun here? I'm not sure.
All right, so go to your messages here on WhatsApp. The number 0809 444 981. Henry says, hello. So you cut down supplies, prices, and margin, thus cutting down their ability to grow and employ fresh staff, and you reduce JAMB costs to include more students and push out more fresh graduates. Sir, who will employ them? Remember the businesses you stifled their growth. As from Henry. Prince says, for information, What JAMB conducts now is known as Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME). This enables candidates to buy one form and then you can use them to get admission to University, Polytechnic, and College of Education. The cost covers UTME. Bengo says anybody who sees the reduction in JAMB form fees as propaganda and not excited about it because of his or her hatred for PMB can pay the old fee and leave those who are excited about it to pay the reduced one.
Yeah, right.
They can also reject the other initiatives of the government, like the trade money payment to Nigeria Airways pensioners and the increase in police salary, because they claim that their move is to woo voters come 2019. Olodi Chimobi from Olodi Apapa says, Amako Chimobi says, EFCC monitoring of financial campaign of political parties should not be used as a means of witch hunting or to intimidate others, especially those they perceive as strong opposition. Let the EFCC be neutral, and of recent they've really compromised on their duties, but time will tell, and we'll follow that really closely. Donald Oji just sent in a message here on YouTube. He says, JAMB costs reduced by moving from paper to computer-based exams, which started in 2013, I think, is therefore necessary to reduce the fees, as JAMB is not meant to be a revenue-generating agency. Michael Adetutu added here on the same stream, says, funny, why won't the government reduce the fees for JAMB when a target of 300 million naira, 300 million was given to Professor Loyode, but the prof got them 9 billion? I also think there's a political agenda to this. Anyway, let's get back to more news from Premium Times. We have this story. Nigerian Navy deploys 8 vessels, helicopters, for sea exercise. It said Nigerian Navy yesterday in Lagos said it would deploy 8 vessels and helicopters for the 2018 fourth quarter sea exercises, codenamed Exercise Anom Boneng, which means calm waters. Mr. Ireti, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, so we're stretching the legs of our vessels, as they say. I think that's what they say in the maritime industry. And exercises are important, but one of the things he said is what's it called? Rear Admiral Habila Ngalabak.
Yes.
Chai. Forgive me.
You got it right.
I did. Okay, thank you.
You didn't modern the name.
Huh?
You didn't modern the name.
The objective of the exercise is to test the operational state and capabilities of the assigned ships, boats, and helicopters, as well as project Navy's presence within the command area of operation. Yes, it's very exciting. I mean, look, I remember once, I've got to tell this very quickly. I remember once at the time when, when going on holiday was still able to go on holiday. You know, that kind of when you didn't have to, yeah. Anyway, I remember going to Mauritius on holiday. And literally there was this huge ship, and we saw Nigerian Navy men. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So of course we go to approach them. You know me, I'll talk to anybody. Me, I go to them, I'm like, I'm Nigerian, what are you guys doing? And then they tell us about this. It was 100th anniversary of Commonwealth ships or something really big.
Yes.
And apparently they all had to come to Mauritius or whatever to celebrate. I think it was turn of Mauritius. And but most ships couldn't make it because the Indian Ocean is one of the roughest ocean ever. But we were able to make it, and they just landed, so they showed us around the ships. It was a moment of pride and joy. Oh yeah, they were such good looking men, very smart. You take a Nigerian out of Nigeria, you put them on Nigerian soil in a foreign country, if you like, because they're on the ship, right?
Yes.
And the attitude and behavior,
was different.
oh my word.
I don't understand everything. Like,
what do you mean you don't understand? Good looking men on the ship, good uniform. What are you talking?
okay.
The memory of the naval officers just
yeah, but I have to say no, but it was a moment of pride because, like they said, many ships couldn't make it from other countries.
Yes.
But we were the few that did. And those are proud things that I hope we're able to actually carry on. So yes, go stretch the legs and let's see what happens.
And the flag officer, I just need to mention, the flag officer Habila Ngalabak, Admiral Habila, said that the public should remain calm following the heavy build-up of naval assets that might be cited during the conduct of exercise. So do not think.
Well, remember when we saw, was it a submarine that was seen somewhere?
Yeah, that just showed up some years
and
ago.
everybody's like, okay, America is coming to get us.
What is happening?
America is coming to get us.
All right, quick story next. Mr. Ireti, I stick with you for this one. It's from Premium Times newspaper, 2019. Ezekwesili picks running mates, and his name is Abdul Ganiyu Galadima. He's a businessman, and he's more. There's more to him. Mr. Ireti, your thoughts?
Yeah, if there's more to him, I'll keep that to his wife. I tell you what's interesting in this is what Madame Obi herself said. So how she describes him, she said, She described her running mate as a man of integrity, saying his principles and selfless politics aligned with hers and her vision for the country. She goes on, this is the quote: "This experience complements my incomparable competence and capacity when it comes to socio-economic and governance issues. Like me, not one known for being how should we say, shy? Yeah. Like me, Alhaji Galadima has shown a long-standing commitment to the fight to rescue our nation by standing with people of integrity. He refused to join questionable alliances and coalitions led and bankrolled by ruling parties in this election and in that of 2015, where he ultimately emerged as the fourth most popular candidate across the country." Good, good, good. It all sounds very good. I just didn't like that part, like me. You know, I think this was supposed to be about her running mate.
Yes.
So it'd have been good for the story to be about. And if she's going to make a statement, don't wrangle and weave yourself into that, because we all know what you are. Yes, a lot of us respect you, and some people find you a bit of a, how should we say, pain in the backside. But that's fine. Women should always be troublemakers. Otherwise, you'd never get change. But I would have rather she spoke more about him than, you know, talk about herself. And he goes on. Mr. Galadima himself actually didn't say a lot. But she does also go on and say, "Together we will lift 80 million plus Nigerians out of poverty and unlock the prosperity for every citizen."
But
Go ahead.
He's said to be
He's-
said to be somebody who
grassroots
who's very,
but what does that
who's
mean,
very
please? That's just rhetoric again.
in terms
the man
of the fact
himself.
that his businesses has been, you know, involved in some very notable humanitarian
For
activities and
goodness
all
sakes,
that.
what is notable until EFCC doesn't bring out a file?
Okay.
I mean, can we stop getting excited about certain things? That look, it's press, it's PR. That's why we're in media.
Yeah, but
we know
let's
we
not-
must shine
Let's
the
not-
brass
let's-
very well.
Let's not knock them down,
I'm
because
not knocking him down.
yeah.
I'm just saying I don't get okay. Unlike you,
Yeah.
I don't deal with these things in naivety. I don't get excited and become wax lyrical because
I look at them objectively. I mean, noting the fact that just a few moments ago we mentioned the whole money play in politics, and you know, seeing this happen, we look at more things. Just deviate
well,
away
you
from.
think he's not
focusing on the
broke, is he? If you
finances.
say
No,
he's got that many
he's not.
businesses,
He's a businessman. Yeah,
precisely.
yeah. So
And
yeah.
there are those, I'm not pushing him down, this is not necessarily talking about Mr. Galadima, but there are those who says Ugo, you're in finance, you can't be a billionaire in this country without having compromised so many parts of the rules in this country.
Well,
So
maybe anywhere in the world, actually.
there you go. So
All right.
that's capitalism.
Now that you brought
right?
in the finance angle, let's go to the story, Ugo Dre, very quickly from ThisDay newspaper. DBN enlists 35,000 MSMEs for microcredits. That's the Development Bank of Nigeria. Yesterday said it has signed on to at least 35,000 micro, small, and medium enterprises and end borrowers within its first full year of operation. Why should we be interested in this, and who does it affect? Really,
You should be interested because the Development Bank of Nigeria, uses taxpayers' money to a certain extent to lend to small businesses. You should also be interested if you're a small business.
Yes.
Looking for some kind of funding to expand your business, and so that's why we should be interested.
Okay.
Now, this has been interesting times for entrepreneurs in Nigeria. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of initiatives around trying to provide some form of credit or the other to entrepreneurs. Now, in fact, it actually started since I think Jonathan administration, when they came up with the UWIN program. Yeah, and since then we've seen a lot of other programs involved. The CBN also has its own for microcredit schemes. You have microfinance banks as well doing theirs. You have Development Bank, you have Bank of Industry. So there's just so many of them, and you also have Lagos State as well through the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. So there's just a lot of avenues where small businesses can go and borrow money to invest in their business. Interest rates are somewhat low, even though not that's low I would expect, but some of them are actually single digits. It's still a little bit difficult to get access to these loans. It's not as easy as just getting loans from a lot of the smaller microfinance banks, but you still have, but it's still better than going to commercial banks to borrow.
Yeah.
So it's good, and I hope that they can sustain this.
Yes.
It's not just saying that they've signed up 20 or 25,000.
There's a sustainability
Yeah,
carrying
let's just know how much
with
they're giving
the
them on
program.
average. Yeah. So
And
good
how many
work.
people are really affected by this? Thank you very much, Ugo Dre and Mr. Ireti Bakare. Yusuf, just before we wrap up, let's take a few messages. And says, please, see you again. There's nothing wrong with people like me, please. And
Who's me?
The guy,
not
because he
not
said
too young to
Nigerian
run.
guy. Oh, okay, yeah.
And
Oh, I thought
then,
it was-
and And then Eddie here says, Mr. Ireti, how can you go straight from slanging to all the way to what are you talking? I'm sure you can.
Am I not in Nigeria? What is I can go from there to what are we talking?
EK says, can we not
Close,
temporarily reassign some Navy personnel to the army to support the war against Boko Haram? And then somebody said, okay, Timmy says EFCC should first look into those that bought the phone for Mr. President. Okay. We're shaking the table now. Lagos, it's been very exciting to have you on the show, Freshly Pressed 981, but that's not all. First, we thank our analysts for coming in at Ugo Dre. You can find him on social media at Ugo Dre. And CCOG Lagos is Miss Ireti Bakare Yusuf. Thank you so very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Next,
Bye.
we expect on the show to talk entertainment. A wonderful analyst coming into the studio for Grapevine, plus Timi Dakolo. Good morning.